Hello friends, my name is RD and welcome back to my channel, Dhode R Vision English. I hope you all are doing great. Today I'm going to explain a beautiful Turkish movie called Ask for Just One Moment, which was released in 2025. The film stars Kakal as the male lead Rüzgar and the stunning Nilsu Berfin Aktas as the female lead Hayal. It has received a 4.1 out of 10 rating on IMDb, but trust me, the story is much more emotional and heart-touching than the numbers suggest. So this story is about two people from completely different worlds. Hayal is a rich girl, living a life full of luxury and comfort. And Razgar? He's just a simple guy, a driver who's trying to escape a painful past and a tough reality. Honestly, they're like night and day. Hayal never thought one little moment could turn her whole life around. But then she meets Razgar, and suddenly everything changes. He steps into her world, and she sees something in him that no amount of money or fancy things ever gave her. Now the big question, can they actually choose each other? Or will life and reality pull them apart? And is love really enough when everything else is against you? Well, let's dive in and find out together. Our story begins with Raz, who is sitting in a prison cell. He's remembering a fight he had at the bar where he worked. He wanted to know where a certain person was, but the man he fought with refused to tell him. After a while, Raz realizes the man really didn't know anything and finally calms down. A policeman comes in and tells Raz he's free to go. The person who filed the complaint has withdrawn it. As Raz steps outside, he finds his close friend Fatih waiting for him. Fatih even hands him his taxi so Raz can start working with it. Just then, Raz sees our heroine for the first time. From the very first glance, he's completely captivated by her beauty. But she doesn't feel the same. She looks at him with disgust and turns her face away. Later, Raz and Fatih go to meet Levand, the boss of the bar. Levand is angry because Raz owes him a huge amount of money. Even if Raz sold his motorcycle, it still wouldn't cover the debt. Levand tells him to bring 100,000 lira if he wants his bike back. Otherwise, he's not getting it. Raz collects his clothes from the bar and leaves. Meanwhile, at a mansion, Naima is arguing with her husband, who works as a gardener. She's upset because she cooked all the food, but he still thinks she hasn't done anything. Elsewhere, Hayal's family arrives and asks her sister Hilal about her exam results. Hilal confidently says she's sure she'll come first in her class. She wants to join the Faculty of Fine Arts, but her mother wants her to pick a different course instead. At that moment, Hilal's friend Ija comes by and takes her to their favorite restaurant. There, a guy named Oguz, who is madly in love with Hilal, shows up. But Hilal doesn't like him at all and gets annoyed by him. Oguz leaves angrily, but later promises his friend that one day he'll make Hilal fall in love with him. Back to Raz and Fatih. Fatih tells Raz about the girl he saw yesterday and how he fell in love with her at first sight. He says she's rich and assumes that he's also a wealthy and classy guy like her. Fatih plans to stay close to her until she completely falls for him, and then he'll marry her. On the other side of the story, Hayal's friend Ija, acting a little different, and Hayal notices that. Ija admits that she's met a rich guy who owns a car showroom, and she's already fallen for him. Her friend keeps teasing her about it nonstop on her social media account. Meanwhile, Fatih asks Razgar to drop off a customer because Fatih is planning to meet the girl he's in love with. At first, Razgar refuses and they argue back and forth, but eventually, Razgar gives in and agrees to help. Razgar drives the customer, and suddenly, she breaks down crying in the back seat. Concerned, he tries to comfort her. That's when she recognizes him from the bar where he used to work. After learning that he quit the bar and is looking for a new job, she hands him her business card, hinting at a possible opportunity. Back to Fatih. We find out that the girl he's dating is actually Ija, Hayal's best friend. When she sees him, she's thrilled and excited to meet up. At this point, Razgar's painful childhood memories come flooding back. He remembers how his father used to beat his mother out of anger whenever he couldn't find the money she had hidden in the house. As a child, Razgar had no choice but to watch helplessly. Back in the present day, it's pouring rain. Hayal ends up getting into Razgar's taxi. Upset because he nearly hit her with the car, she yells at him angrily, creating a huge scene. A moment later, she calms down and apologizes, offering to pay for the damage. Razgar, still sarcastic, mocks her for saying she has plenty of money and throws in, Well, life must be easy for you since your dad is rich. This annoys Hayal so much that she asks him to stop the car and let her out. But seeing her standing there in the heavy rain, looking pitiful, Rosgar softens up. He hands her his jacket and lets her get back into the car. Later, Ija invites Fatih to her party and tells him to bring his friend along too. Fatih immediately agrees. After dropping Hayal off, Rosgar can't resist teasing her one last time, saying, "Looks like you've fallen for me." Hayal ignores him and leaves, but accidentally forgets her bracelet in his car. At the party, Ija calls Fatih to check if he's there. He tells her he's arrived, but Rosgar is furious at him for lying, since Fatih told him they were going to work. Rosgar storms off, saying he needs to focus on collecting money to get his motorcycle back. Suddenly, Rosgar receives a call from Asma, while inside the party, Fatih meets Hayal. Wanting to impress everyone, Fatih lies and claims he works at a car showroom and will soon start his own business. But the moment Hayal spots Rosgar, she realizes Fatih's lie and confronts him. Rosgar is confused and doesn't understand what's happening. Hayal's admirer suddenly steps in, and a huge fight breaks out at the party. In the middle of the chaos, Hayal slaps Rosgar across the face. Furious, Rosgar warns her that she'll regret it and storms out. But Hayal runs after him, and in a heated moment, she pushes him into the water. To everyone's surprise, she slips and falls in with him. After leaving the party, Rosgar runs into a group of people who hate him. One of them challenges him to a race, saying that if Rosgar wins, he'll get his bike back along with a lot of money. But before they can even start, the police show up, and they decide to settle it another day. Later, Rosgar goes back to work at the bar. The girl he had given a taxi ride to earlier shows up to thank him for helping her that night. From the way she looks at him, it's clear she's starting to develop feelings for him. The next day, Ija goes out with Fatih, while Oguz, still bitter, secretly films Rosgar's taxi, planning to destroy it. He later visits Hayal, clearly trying to stir up more trouble. That night, Rosgar gets a call from Ozan, who warns him that two men were asking about Fatih. While Fatih is waiting in an isolated place, those same men suddenly attack him. They beat him up badly, but just in time, Rosgar shows up to help. Rosgar, being skilled in martial arts, fights them off and they run away. Rosgar even chases Oguz and fights him too, scaring him enough to flee. When Hayal hears about what happened, she rushes to Rosgar's side because she's worried about Ija. Together, they go to the house where Ija is staying. There, Rosgar casually asks Hayal if Oguz is her ex-boyfriend. Ija teases Rosgar, asking if he's jealous. Rosgar quickly denies it, saying, "Why would I be jealous of her?" But the tension between them is obvious. Hayal tends to Rosgar's wounds and even apologizes to him, which makes him genuinely happy. But soon after, Rosgar and Hayal start arguing again. She tries to walk away, but he stops her, and in that moment, it's clear they're slowly falling for each other. Rosgar drops Hayal home, but her entire family is furious. Her father yells at Rosgar and warns him to stay away from his daughter, even threatening to kill him if he sees them together again. Hayal locks herself in her room, and her mother orders her never to see Rosgar again. Later that night, Hayal secretly calls Rosgar to apologize for everything. He forgives her easily and invites her to have breakfast with him the next morning, and she happily agrees. The next day, they finally meet up and spend time together happily. Hayal wants to try riding a bike, so Rosgar teaches her. But she loses balance and falls, injuring her leg badly and leaving her unable to walk. Feeling guilty, Rosgar carries her and takes care of her. He even goes out to buy her sweets. When she tries them, she tells him it's the first time in her life she's ever had sweets, which completely shocks him. Surprised, he asks her, "Haven't you ever gone out to the streets as a child?" But her expression suddenly changes, and she doesn't answer. As they sit together, Rosgar starts opening up about his past. He tells her that he was born and raised in Izmir, and that his mother passed away when he was just 10 years old. After that, he never saw his father again. He also explains that the taxi he drives doesn't belong to him. It's actually Fatih's, and that he sometimes works nights at the bar just to make extra money to survive. Hayal opens up to Rosgar about her life. She tells him she's in her final year of university and about to become a lawyer, though that's not really her dream. It's her father's. Deep down, Hayal's true passion is singing, and she secretly dreams of becoming famous one day. Later that night, at home, Hayal gets a call from Ija, who tells her about an upcoming street race and urges her to come watch. Worried about Rosgar's safety, Hayal immediately calls him, begging him not to take part in the race. She tries everything to convince him, but Rosgar refuses to back down. Determined to stop him, Hayal sneaks out of the house with the help of her sister Hilal, so their parents won't notice. She arrives at the race just as it begins and watches Rosgar win. But right after the race, a girl approaches Hayal and warns her to stay away from Rosgar, saying, "He belongs to me." The confrontation quickly turns into a heated fight, and Rosgar has to step in to stop them. Hayal, furious, warns Rosgar, "If I ever see you racing again, I'll kill you." Secretly, though, Rosgar is happy to see how much she cares about him. Later, the two of them sit quietly by the shore, enjoying each other's company. But when Hayal returns home, her mother is waiting for her. Hilal tattles, and their mother scolds Hayal, warning her not to fall in love with the wrong man. She tells her, "The right person for you is anyone other than that vagabond you know." Upset, Hayal locks herself in her room and is shocked when Rosgar suddenly appears outside her window. Nervous that her father might catch them, she sneaks him inside. Rosgar looks her straight in the eyes and asks if she loves him. He admits that every time he looks at her, he feels fear, because she's the only girl who's ever made his heart race. The next morning, Hayal wakes up to find a message he left for her, and she's overjoyed. That night, they meet again. Rosgar wants to finally tell her about his past, but Hayal refuses to listen, saying it doesn't matter. Not long after, Rosgar runs into Hayal's father, Erdinch, who threatens him. Erdinch warns that if Rosgar doesn't stay away from his daughter, he'll destroy his life and send him to prison, because he already knows all about Rosgar's troubled past. Shaken, Rosgar sits alone by the sea, recalling the darkest memory of his life: his father pointing a gun at his mother during one of their violent fights. She begged him not to shoot, but he pulled the trigger and killed her. Little Rosgar sat frozen beside her lifeless body, unable to do anything. Back in the present, Rosgar rides his motorcycle recklessly and ends up in an accident. Meanwhile, at Hayal's mansion, her family decides to send her to Europe to separate her from Rosgar. When Hayal finds out, she refuses to go, storms out of the house, and runs away to look for him. She keeps calling Rosgar's phone over and over. Desperate, Hayal goes to Fatih for help, but he doesn't know what happened to Rosgar either. Worried and heartbroken, she returns home. While talking to her mother, Hayal finally realizes something. Her mother is forcing her to live the life she wants for her, instead of letting Hayal live the life she truly dreams of. Rosgar is rushed into the operating room, but thankfully, he survives. Fatih visits him afterward and asks if he really plans to stay away from Hayal. Rosgar calls her, pretending that he's out of the country and will be back soon. But during the call, they end up arguing, and Rosgar abruptly hangs up. Hayal is devastated by his cold tone and breaks down crying. A month later, Fatih sees how much Rosgar is suffering and decides to take him to Hayal, even against Rosgar's will. They argue in the car, and eventually Fatih forces Rosgar to stop and leaves him there. As Rosgar sits alone, he remembers his darkest childhood memory, the day his father and Uncle Mert laughed and told him to lie to the police, claiming that he had been holding the gun and accidentally shot his mother. They told him he'd only spend a short time in prison before being released. The trauma of that moment still haunts him. Meanwhile, Hayal and her friend unexpectedly run into Mert. He reminds them that they went to high school together and makes it clear he likes Hayal. He even asks her out, but she refuses. She simply doesn't like him. Later, Hayal goes to the places she used to visit with Rosgar, including the bar where they first met. When she sees Rosgar talking to another girl who's defending him, jealousy sparks another heated argument between them. Rosgar finally opens up to her and confesses the truth, that he believes he's a bad person who doesn't deserve her love because he caused his own mother's death when he was just 10. Hayal forgives him without hesitation, telling him she knows he's a victim, not a monster. But the next day, she receives a message from Rosgar saying they can't be together. At the bar, Rosgar meets a man named Onur, who asks about Levand and gives Rosgar a book titled "Love is Just a Moment to Pass Along." Their conversation about love deeply affects Rosgar, and he finally realizes what Hayal truly means to him. Rosgar rushes to Hayal and begs for a second chance, promising never to leave her side again. But just as they reunite, Hayal collapses. At the hospital, the doctor tells her father that her illness has returned. Hayal flashes back to her childhood, sitting in a wheelchair as her mother assured her that if she survived treatment once, she would survive again. But this time, the family's arguments grow worse. Hilal clashes with her mother, blaming her for the stress, while Hayal's parents fight over Rosgar. The family urges Hayal to travel to Europe for treatment, but she refuses, angrily insisting she won't leave Rosgar. That's when the heartbreaking truth comes out. Hayal has cancer. The doctor explains that her condition is terminal. She has only 1 or 2 months left to live. At first, Hayal doesn't want to fight. Her hair begins falling out, bruises appear on her skin, and her spirit weakens. But when she calms down, she chooses to spend whatever time she has left living fully, and with Rosgar. Rosgar takes her out to sing at the bar where he works, letting her live her dream. She performs happily, glowing with joy as the crowd cheers. Together, they visit all her favorite places, cherishing every last moment. One quiet night, as she rests her head on Rosgar's shoulder, Hayal peacefully passes away in her sleep. Rosgar is shattered. He cries endlessly, unable to believe she's gone. At her funeral, everyone gathers to say goodbye. Days later, Hilal stays in her sister's empty room, heartbroken. Their father enters with a large box of paints, finally granting Hilal her dream of joining the Faculty of Fine Arts. Tearfully, he apologizes for failing to fulfill Hayal's dreams while she was alive. Later, Hilal visits Rosgar and gives him a letter Hayal wrote before she died. In it, Hayal thanks him for fulfilling all her wishes. She says that when she was younger, she always feared death, but with Rosgar, she stopped being afraid. Rosgar's boss calls him and tells him the bar now belongs to him, urging him to finally live his life. But Rosgar can't let go of the pain. One night, he storms toward his father's house, the man who had ruined his childhood, with a gun, ready to take revenge. But at the last moment, he remembers Hayal's words and lowers the weapon. Instead, Rosgar walks to the shore where he and Hayal once spent their happiest moments. But this time, he stands there alone, staring into the waves. And with that heartbreaking scene, our film ends. So in the end, I know the movie had a sad ending, but what it truly shows us is that life can change in a single moment, with just one glance, one meeting, or one unexpected connection. Love isn't something you plan, it simply happens. And love holds incredible power. Even if you lose your way in life, it can guide you back to the right path. But beyond the love story, this movie also delivers a powerful message to our society. Every child deserves a safe and nurturing family environment. When something painful happens to a child at a young age, it can stay with them forever like a lasting trauma. It affects their future, shatters their confidence, and leaves them feeling lost and hopeless. Stay tuned for more soul-stirring stories all about love, longing, and second chances. Until we meet again. If today's story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you never miss out on a new, amazing tale of love and life. Got a movie you want me to break down? Drop its name and country in the comments. I can't wait to see your suggestions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with another heartwarming journey.